Hello, everybody. Welcome to IMP, the Informational Music Podcast. I'm your host, Sam King, and today we'll be talking about a specific era of music that many of you may not know much about. If I asked you what you knew about the classical music era, you would probably be able to tell me a decent amount of history, such as the famous composer Beethoven, and the various instruments used in classical music, such as the strings, the woodwinds, the percussion section, and the brass section. But do you know what came before classical music? It was baroque music. You may be wondering what baroque even means. It was a word in French that meant irregularly shaped, which was usually used to describe pearls. The Baroque era lasted from around the 16th century to 1750. Famous composers from the era included Johann Sebastian Bach, George Friedrich Handel, Antonio Lucio Vivaldi, and more. This era of music was very revolutionary for westernized music and lots of other types as well. Some things that happened in the Baroque era included harmony, a combination of more than one note, more accessible and frequent. It defined differences between loud and soft, solo and ensemble. It made more solos for vocalists and created opera and ultimately created a type of music that could convey emotion a lot better. It was a very poetic way of music. One group that was a big focus of Baroque music was the Florentine Camerata. The Florentine Camerata were artists and intellectuals that met to discuss literature, science, and the arts. Members of the Camerata were largely concerned with the revival of Greek dramatic style. It is from these experimentations that the stile recitativo was invented. It was thought that the Greeks used a style between speech and song, and this is what was produced as a result. This all led to the development of opera, one of the most important artistic developments of all time. Other forms of Baroque music other than opera were concerto, sonata, oratorio, cantata, and much, much more. You know, it's surprising to me that despite all the hype around music back then, only the upper class could really afford to listen to it. You know, you think that maybe, the music industry would be able to open to everyone to make more money. But only towards the end of the Baroque period could the middle class enjoy music, such as like opera and stuff. Instruments back then included the lute, violin, viola, cello, and double basses string instruments. Popular wind instruments included the recorder, flute, oboe, and bassoon. Baroque keyboard music was played on the organ or harpsichord. One composer I want to talk more about before I end the podcast is Johann Sebastian Bach. He was born March 21st, 1685. His dad was an accomplished music artist and got Bach an early education in music. He went from different jobs such as the violinist for Duke Johann Ernst of Weimar, organist of Blasikirch in Mulhausen, choir organist to Duke Wilhelm Ernst of Weimar, and more. Popular songs by him you might know are Toccata and Fugue, Orchestral Suite No. 3, St. Matthew's Passion, and Concerto for two violins. He made songs that are still played today. You have probably heard his music in films as well. He wasn't as much appreciated back then as he is now. Back then it was kind of discouraged to play music that wasn't specifically for religion and church. Nowadays, he is known to be one of the giants of Western music. Well, I hope you enjoyed the podcast today. My effort on my podcast is that you at least learned one thing.